Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be logging BricsForge Proform submissions into a Google Sheet using webhooks from BricsForge and Google App Scripts JavaScript. So we're going to have a spreadsheet. We're going to have Google App Script here running a little bit of JavaScript. And then we're going to have the form. And you can set this up in 5 minutes. It's going to take us a little bit longer, step by step, but it really isn't that hard once you have the JavaScript code, which I'm going to give you for free. So let's dive in and see how this works. We're going to add a name, an email, a phone number, and a message. And then we're going to hit submit. Hop over to our sheet and this will pop up. Boom. It's really not that hard. It's really great technology with BricsForge, Google Sheets. You can send whatever data you want over here, and that's what we're doing today. All right, so the first thing is we're gonna hop over to Google. We're gonna set all of that up in your Google Drive. We're gonna create the sheet. We're gonna create the script, deploy a web app, which is what you're doing. You're creating a web app, an endpoint to send data to, and we're going to use BricsForge Proform to send that data via webhook over to Google. So if you ever wanted a free CRM that's nice and easy, that you can just onboard client data, onboard prospective leads, whatever you want, this is how you could do that with just a little bit of code. I think it's like 4 or 5 lines. All right, so let's dive in. So the first step is to go to your Google Drive, and I created a folder called Google App Scripts, and I'm going to store my Google Sheet in this folder. So once you've created that folder, go click New, Google Sheets, and it should open a new sheet in a new tab. And then I'm going to change the name to Log BricsForge Form Submission. The next step will be to click on Extensions, and then you'll see AppScript. AppScript is a cloud-based JavaScript platform through Google that you can write your JavaScript to do whatever you want. So we're going to go into AppScript. And you're going to see this function right here. We're just going to delete that. And then with the supplied JavaScript, just paste it in there. We'll briefly go over what this is doing. This line will get the spreadsheet, the active sheet, and in this spreadsheet there's only one active sheet, and it's sheet 1. I wouldn't rename it. You can just leave it sheet 1 and only have one sheet. I haven't tested multiple sheets, so just one sheet to store your data. And then it's going to parse a JSON string that we're going to send over through BricsForge. You can select a JSON string as an option, and it's going to parse that data. And then we're going to create a row of data. So for this example, we're going to do name, email, phone, and message, and we're going to append that row. That's really all this code is doing. It's taking the form data, 4 fields, fields 1, 2, 3, 4, and then creating individual cells that are going to go into your sheets, cell A1, B1, C1, and D1. So that's really all it's doing, and this isn't that difficult. So if you've never done JavaScript, or you've never done a Google App Script, or maybe you're using another platform like Zapier or Pabbly, and you just don't want to do that, you want to do it this way, there's a whole bunch of different ways, but doing it this way doesn't cost you any money. You don't have to pay for another subscription. You just need BricsForge and just a little bit of time to plug this code in. So after that, I'm going to click Save. And then I'm going to go to the Deploy button, and this is going to deploy this as a web application, giving you a URL that you can hook onto to post information and data from your WordPress site up to the Google Sheet. So click Deploy, and then we're going to do a new deployment. So this box pops up, it's empty, And what you're going to do is it says, please select a deployment type. So over here in the top left, you'll see the gear icon, select type, and this is going to be a web app. And this is going to be the same description that I did earlier, which is going to be log bricks forge form submission. And this is just one of my burner emails that I use, and it kind of goes to show that you don't have to have a Google workspace. You can just have a plain Gmail account. So we're going to execute as me, the owner of this sheet and the owner of this Google account. And then this part is who has access. So since BricksForge is not associated with my email account, we need to change that to anyone. You could change it to anyone with a Google account. But again, since BricksForge doesn't have a Google account, we're just going to open this up. So anybody with this webhook URL could technically send data over to your sheet. So you need to keep that safe and don't share it with anybody. So give it a description, execute as yourself, and allow anybody who has access to this web application URL to hit this web service, and then click deploy. It's going to take a few moments here, and then it's going to prompt you to authorize access. So it's going to ask you to log in through your account. So click authorize access, and then it'll pop up with this account. Select that. And then it's going to say Google hasn't verified this app, and it's going to throw up a warning to say, make sure this is safe. I did this on my Google Workspace account, and I didn't get this warning. I'm not really sure why it's throwing it for Gmail, but this is a safe thing to do. We're going to click Advanced and then go to the Untitled Project Unsafe. And then it says continue only if you understand the risks and trust this developer. Well, since it's me, I'm going to say yes, I trust myself. And then it'll bring you to this screen, and it's saying I want to allow the Google account to access the JavaScript and access the web application. So pretty much you just click allow all the way through. And then it's going to give you a deployment ID, which you shouldn't need, and then a web app URL, which you are going to need. So let's copy that and click done. So I'm going to add this right down here in the comments for now, and put 2 slashes and then paste that, because we're going to need to go and grab this and put this into BricksForge. So the next part of the video, we're going to open up BricksForge and the Pro form and set up the form to send data over to this sheet. Last step, click Save. And if you ever need to get back to your URL here, just drop down and do Manage Deployments. And then you can copy this ID or the URL in case you lose it. One thing I would note is if you make changes to the JavaScript, say you want to add something like data dot method, something like that, like method of contact, like, hey, what's your preferred method? Email, phone. If you want to add data to your sheet, you have to add a new deployment. You can't just click save because that web app needs to be refreshed. So then you'll just go up to deploy, and I believe it's manage deployments, and then hit the pencil and then say new version. And this will push a new version up to the web app. And I did struggle with that. I was adding these fields, and I was like, why isn't the data coming across? I think I added phone because I just had name, email, and message, and I added phone, and the phone was not working. Well, what it was is save the project and then go manage deployment and then publish the next version. So you have to remember to do that. All right, let's head on over to the builder. All right, I'm inside WordPress, and I created a new page called Log BricksForge Form Submission. You could put this in a template or wherever you want. And we're going to edit with Bricks. I'm on Bricks 1.9.4. And the first thing I'm going to do is add a section. and a container, and inside my container add a heading. And this heading, I'm going to call this log BricsForge form submission. I'm not going to use classes. I'm just going to style right on the ID for this because it doesn't really matter. You can add classes if you want. And then after the heading, I'm going to add a pro form. So click the plus icon and then come and select pro form. And what you'll notice with the new BricsForge Pro Form is it comes with nestable fields. If you're coming over from the older form that was not nestable, you'd have all your fields here. But now these fields are elements, and I prefer using the nested Pro Form. So this first form field is going to be a name, email, message. But in our JavaScript, over in our Google Apps script, we have 4. We've got our data.name, data.email, data.phone, and our message. So we need to go and add our phone number in. To do that, let's go back to our pro form. Click the plus sign because the telephone field is an element. Just type in TEL, and then you've got your pre-configured telephone field. And that's going to go right after email. Let's go into that telephone field real quick and give it a label called phone number. Okay. And when you're working with pro forms, the most important part is the ID of each field. So under each field here, you're going to have a custom ID input box. And what we're going to do is change those, because in the new pro forms, you can nestable, you can change the ID. So we're going to change each one of those before we even get started. And to make this really nice and simple, instead of B8BD98, we're just going to do BF underscore. And this is going to be our name. So BF underscore name. We're going to do that for each one. And if we use like a nice prefix like this, it kind of makes it unique, BF underscore email. And we don't have to remember these long strings here. We can just BF phone and then BF message for the last one. So what we're going to be doing is mapping these fields over to our webhook. So we've got the form that takes the data in from the user on the front end. And then the webhook needs to take the data from the form fields and send it in the webhook over to the Google Sheet. So let's go to ProForms, and then we're going to go and edit our actions. You'll notice that email is the default action. We're going to delete that. So click on ProForms, go down to Actions, delete your email, and then we're going to add webhook at the bottom. And we're just going to use a webhook action. So you'll see this new webhook menu pop up, and that's where all the settings are going to be. So let's go into that webhook menu and add a new webhook by clicking Add Item. The first thing it's going to ask you is your URL for your webhook. So we saved that off in our app script over here. So I'm just going to go copy that, Control copy, and paste it right there. Google Apps script uses post method, which makes sense because you're going to be sending data through the post method up to Google. And then the content type is going to be a JSON. So it's expecting this string of data coming across. I don't know exactly what the defaults are, but I'm going to hard code post and JSON in. The next step is to start adding our data items, and we're going to add 4. And so when you click the plus sign, you'll see key and value. So the key is going to be the name, and make sure you name it the same thing as your script is over here. So name, email, phone, message. Always try to standardize everything you can. So the key is going to be name, and then in the value, we're going to put bf_name, which is the ID of your form field. It's kind of annoying that the form refreshes over and over, but that's how it works. It's not bricks forge. This is a bricks item here. Next is to go to the email and add a new item. So don't click on email, just click add item. And then we're going to type our key as email, and the value is bricksforge_email or bf_email. Grab that prefix real quick. We're going to add our next item, which is phone, bf_phone. Add our next item, message, bf_message. Click save. That's pretty much all you have to do. You don't have to add a header. You don't have to add any of these other settings. That's it. It's going to send the data now. And then we'll get into some more advanced things we can do with this, but let's go check it out. I'm going to add just a little bit of styling here. Let's do a row gap. All right, let's look at it on the front end. Here we go. All right, there's our pro form. Going to add the data. And I'm going to click submit, and then I'm going to hop over here real quick so you can see it happen. So click submit, hop over here. It's going to pop up. Boom. Testing the webhook. So that's really all there is to it. I'm going to go into some more detail now, but if you want to get this set up, we'll go over this real quickly and you're off and running. So add the pro form. Under the actions, we're going to delete the email. We're going to add webhook. In the webhook settings, we're going to take our URL from our Google Apps script. If you lost it, go back to deploy, go to manage deployments. There's your URL right there. Grab it, paste it here. We're going to set the method to post, the content type to JSON string, and then we're going to map our form fields into the webhook items here. And this is the data you want to send to your webhook. You can use form IDs or dynamic data as well. Pretty cool. So name, the key is going to be the name that the webhook's going to look for, the JavaScript's going to look for. It's going to say, hey, I'm going to find the name. Show me that name field, and then grab the name data. And that's how it's mapping it over here to each individual cell. So a JSON would look something like this. Name, POE, and then it would have the next one, email, and then this email address here. So that's kind of what it's looking for. A key, which is this part right here, and a value, which is this part right here. You can research JSON strings on your own. All you need to know is set up the name of the key, and then the value is the ID, and make sure in your code it matches that right there, because you're telling it, go get the name, email, phone, and message keys, and then return those values over to the sheet. Okay, but what if we wanted to add more data? So there's a couple ways we could do it. The easiest way, like if you were going to build a CRM, we might have a field called responded, and this might be a yes or a no. So you could say something like, tell your office staff, or if you're building this for a client, you know, if you respond to this person, hit yes. That means we don't need to call them back, and then maybe they could have some comments, and they could say, you know, called them but didn't reply back. We're just going to add this field here and default it to no, because every new one that comes in, we're just going to say we haven't responded. So how do we do that? Well, step one, let's go and edit our app script, and we're going to add a new field value coming from our webhook. And this is going to be data dot response. So remember, response is going to be the key, so we need to remember that. And you could do this programmatically here to just like append on to your row value, but let's do it with the builder. That way you don't have to touch the code too much. This is all you got to add. You don't have to do anything else. So add that value, data.response. Come over here, and we're going to add a new field. And this is going to be a new item to our webhook response, and the value is going to be no. You could use dynamic data. You could even use a hidden field. Let's do that real quick. So we'll add two responses. This is going to be response, and then we'll do response from a hidden field here in a second. So save that. And then refresh, and you'll notice there's no field at all. It's just going to send that data over. Hit submit, and you'll see that no pop up in that field. Let's try one more time. Oh, yeah, this is what I was talking about. So why didn't that work? This is what I was banging my head on. So it didn't send that data over. And you might go over here, say, did I save this? Is this right? What's going on? So anytime you make a change to this code and save it, it's not going to work. So you have to go to deploy, manage deployments, edit the deployment, and then click new version. And then you can give this new version a description, added new field. It's going to keep everything else the same. So all you got to do is just deploy that new version, and that's going to send all this code up into the cloud where it's going to do its thing. So let's try one more time. So it didn't come across, and that is why. So if you run into that, that's probably what's going on. And test new deployment. I guarantee it's going to work. Watch that. All right, cool. So it didn't work a second ago because we didn't redeploy our code. We made a change here. Even if you save it, you have to redeploy it. I don't think I'm wrong on that. If I am, correct me, but in my testing, if you don't deploy it, it's not going to work. So that would be whatever you want. You could, change this value. Send it over. We're just playing around here now, but change that to whatever you want. Or you could go and add a custom field. You could go and add a hidden field. So let's add a hidden field. What would that look like? So we'll go to our Pro Forms, click the Add Elements, type Hidden. Got our little ninja hidden field here. I think this is just it's just a field that doesn't display on the front end. We're going to put that up after our message. Go into it, and then BF underscore hidden, or you could do BF underscore response, whatever you want for the ID. Just make sure you create one and copy it, and the value is going to be no response yet. You would probably just put no, but for demonstrations, we'll put something long. Hit save. Go back to Proforms. Go back to your webhook. Go back to your webhook instance here, and then go to the response, and then just add the value of that form field. Hit save, and now you can control what goes there based on this hidden field. You could use dynamic data here. I don't necessarily know why you would do this versus just doing it through the value here, but if you wanted to, you could. And so this is going to be the hidden field example. Let's test a really long response here. Submit that. No response yet. And then here's our really long response. Wow. Okay, so it can store a really long message. So when you get somebody wanting to do backlinks on your site, which I get a lot of, you know, you can, they'll have plenty of room to write their proposal for backlinks in their guest posts, but I digress. So that's pretty much the entire tutorial. Create your Google Sheet. In your Google Sheet, you know, we're going to add an app script, paste the code that I'm going to give you. Remember, very important, if you need to change your row of data here, you have to add it with the correct key that matches over in BricsForge, and then you have to deploy it again. You can't just click save. You got to go deploy it, manage deployments, edit, new version, and click deploy. In BricsForge, the IDs of each field are very, very important. Get used to doing that. Inside the ProForms action, the webhook action takes the URL from your Google Apps script, and we're just mapping the data from our form fields over to the webhook. It's really that easy. So if you like this type of content, I love dynamic data. I love programming, JavaScript and PHP, Python. I love all that stuff. This is what I am going to be showing on my channel a lot. Not quite so much design, but more dynamic stuff. If you're interested in that, learning how to manage your information automatically, automations, hit that like and subscribe, and keep a lookout for the next time-saving tool. Big up to Mr. DeRosa for creating such an awesome tool. If you don't have BricsForge, I'll drop a link where you can go get it. And yeah, I just highly recommend it. It's made my life so much easier, and it'll make your life and your client's life easier. So everybody, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and hit me up on Facebook or drop a note in the comments if you have any questions, and I'll do my best to help you out. See ya, everybody.